I never really understood retirement planning when I was young. Not really. My dad didn't tell me, and I don't think he really knew the answer. We're all told when we're young that we need to think about retirement, but it's decades off. It's distant and vague. We're also not really told what the consequences are. We're just told that it'll be easier if we start young. I had to start over at around age 35, and I wasn't able to begin saving and investing until age 46. Even then, retirement was far away, but that's not the biggest issue. Even if I could know the exact date I would retire, a specific goal was still unclear. I wish someone had shown me what I'm about to show you. It would have been nice in my 20s, but it would have been really helpful in my 40s. Isn't this what we're all told? Start saving, and the younger you are, the more compound interest will get you somehow to somewhere. And all that is good, but I never could figure out how much I needed and what the end goal was so I could map out how to get there. You see, I've learned that you have to know where you're at and where you're going before you can create any kind of plan on how to get there. And then, am I on track? The question I never understood was this: how much do I need? When do I need it? And is it really possible to get there doing what I'm doing? And at every stage in my life, I've tried to at least attempt to do what I thought we're all supposed to do. But all along the journey of life struggles, I've just done the best I can, rebounded from life setbacks, and struggled to get ahead in a career that I wasn't even sure I had intended. As demands were made on me, I always thought, sure, I have lots of time to recover, and things will always be better in the future. So let's do the lesson that I wish I had been given 40 years ago. Let's start with something very specific. You can adjust from there. Let's say you're 16 years old, you start working, and you save $1,000 each year your first 2 years. When you turn 18, you can work full time, you can save $3,000 a year. That's a really modest amount, and I'm going to project the amount that you save grows 5% a year. I'm also going to assume we earn 5% on average on savings because it can also be investments. Let's take these assumptions and graph where it takes us. Okay, all of that sounds reasonable. Saving $3,000 per year at the beginning isn't tough. $250 a month was doable. By age 60, you're saving $2,000 a month, which sounds like a lot, but you expect your pay to grow, and even with all the expenses that grown-ups have, $2,000 per month must be doable. This sort of graph is common. It clearly illustrates that there is a snowball effect. What you are able to save is compounded by interest that grows increasingly. The main question, though, is still hanging. Is $800,000 going to be enough? I mean, if it earns 5% interest, that gives you $40,000 per year to live off of. Doesn't sound great, but it doesn't sound terrible. Will that work? Well, it doesn't take long before you figure out that life isn't that perfect. The first question that arises is, oh, I need a car, and I have savings, so since debt is bad, I can pay cash. A minor setback, and still positive, you're earning interest, not paying interest. You keep on going. And you put a down payment on a house. 7 years goes by, the car needs replacing. And then your house needs a new roof, or plumbing, or a furnace, and so on. So, what does that do to your plan? Well, here was the imaginary plan you started with. Now let's add another line to your graph for what happens when you just save up for a car and replace it every 7 years. Okay, not terrible. Now you end up at retirement with about $600,000. You might be able to live on $30,000 a year. But wait a sec, that's only car replacement. What about that down payment on a house? If you put $50,000 down on a mortgage at age 38, you can see that's a setback. And please notice, it took until age 38 to accumulate $50,000, and it starts you right back at zero at that age. Now, you're going to have to grow your income over and above to be able to afford the mortgage payment, utilities, and home repairs, which is higher than your apartment rent, but you're growing your home equity. That's the one good thing about a house. You got to have a place to live one way or another, right? It costs a little more, but you're investing in your future there too. But then what about any other thing that your savings might be called upon for? Here's what happens to your savings graph when you factor in a new roof or a child's wedding or your one income supports two cars or whatever. Every few years, your savings curve has a setback, and your plan ends up providing you $360,000, which gives you $18,000 a month, which sounds like less than you were making in that first entry level job you started with. This is what I didn't know when I was 20. It's what I didn't know when I was 40. I mean, I vaguely knew, and I might have had the spreadsheet skills, but I didn't have the life experience to know what to model. This is where you can really benefit from listening to older people. And if you're still living at home when you're young, can you see the benefit to saving nearly everything you make before you start incurring life's living expenses and not spending it all on your first car? As I said, I wish I had known this stuff when I was much younger. The truth is that setbacks have consequences, some that you might never be able to recover from. It would have been helpful to know that. This also shows how much it benefits you in the future to start early and to make more meaningful contributions to your life savings. I really didn't go much into how compound interest works, but I think you do hear that a lot in most financial advice videos. But the truth is, I want you to think with a very big picture and a very long time horizon. Be aware that your savings and investments will not just grow. You need to be able to see clearly how things really work in real life. You know your age right now, and you know your career trajectory. I want you to see this early in your life as you make decisions that have consequences for decades. Saving and investing earlier will be a big help. Prosperity is the result of planning and work. I think you know there is no such thing as a get rich quick plan that works. If there were, everyone would be doing it. There's a lot of people who do financial investing for a living and they don't have it all figured out. The Bible has a lot to say about money and prosperity. You can look in Proverbs and find quite a few nuggets of truth. This is one of them. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. I consider vehicle loans, going into debt for a car, as a shortcut that leads to poverty. Earning interest is the key to prosperity, and paying interest can lock you into poverty. A car loan can be a shortcut to something you can't afford. Same thing with most student loans. Here's another proverb. I realized a long time ago that my plans in life don't have the benefit of seeing into the future like God can. I used to say if you want to hear God laugh, tell him your plans. A more serious look at the Bible, though, reveals God designed the world for good. He desires good for his children, and it behooves us to listen to what he says. I don't think I've ever taken an extravagant vacation or bought a car that was an indulgence. Well, yes, there was that one Jaguar I justified because it cost only $3,000 used. I had no idea repairs would be so expensive. Every house I had ever bought and sold were at bad times in the economic cycles. Life can be a roller coaster, and sometimes we make it even harder on ourselves. This is the answer to the question, which was, what am I saving for? It's not just retirement. Your accumulation of savings and investments is what's going to get you through all the major one-time big things life is going to require of you. And when you get through all of that, then you see what you have for retirement. Every graph that I showed you would benefit from more savings earlier. I'm not saying you have to deprive yourself, but you should know that big things you use your savings for early in life can set you back to square one, and you might adjust your expectations, temper your spending, taking a long-term view. Banking an extra $50,000 or so earlier would soften those setbacks a lot. I didn't know how much I needed in retirement. I won't know what interest rates are going to be when I retire, but living off 3% or 5% gives me a ballpark guess to start with. Starting early matters more than I knew because I didn't realize all the things savings would have to be tapped for. I know the Bible has good advice. Get around older Christians who have more life experience you do and who are able to coach you financially. Choose wisely. Your success depends on you, but you're not alone if you look for the right coaching. The best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, but you can't go back in time. If you're like I was, age 35 and starting over, then just start over. But revise your expectations to fit what time is remaining and allow for obstacles. The older you are, the fewer setbacks you can absorb, the fewer things you can say yes to. Avoid shortcuts. Debt is a real trap. The Bible is clear, you become a slave to the lender. Taking a long view also allows for ups and downs. Life can be an economic roller coaster. So the prudent plan is to err on the side of caution. Plan cautiously so any surprises turn out to be better than you planned, not worse. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope I've told you something you didn't already know. I hope I've reminded you that if you're searching for the recipe to financial success, educate yourself, just like you're doing watching videos like this one. Committing to being financially successful in the future, you'll need to live a disciplined life and you'll need to put in some work. I'd appreciate your comments to help guide my further attempts at creating useful videos. I hope you thrive and prosper. The reason I'm making these videos is because I believe I succeed by helping you succeed. Thanks for watching.